Alexander the Great almost died in his first major battle, and barely anyone remembers it. Not Gaugamela, not Issus, this one, the one that nearly ended everything before it began. It's 334 BC, at the Granicus River, where a swollen current stood between Alexander and roughly 40,000 Persian troops waiting on the far bank. He was 22, his treasury was nearly empty, and his own general had just told him not to cross. He didn't listen.
Alexander had inherited Macedon's army from his father Philip, but not much else. Some ancient sources claim he had barely 30 days' worth of gold to feed his troops. This wasn't a war of choice. It was a gamble he had to win fast because he couldn't afford to lose slow. So he crossed into Asia Minor with everything riding on speed, and almost immediately ran into the force that had been waiting for him. That force wasn't led by Darius III himself, but by a coalition of Persian satraps, backed by a Greek mercenary general named Memnon of Rhodes, arguably the sharpest tactical mind on the field. Memnon's plan was simple and brutal. Don't fight Alexander here. Retreat, burn the crops, strip the land, and starve his underfunded army before a single sword was drawn. It was the smartest option on the table, and the Persian nobility rejected it outright, partly out of pride, partly because they didn't fully trust a Greek general's advice on Persian soil. Instead, the Persian cavalry lined the steep eastern bank of the Granicus, turning the river itself into a natural fortress. Anyone forced to cross would be cut down, half-drowned, and disorganized before they ever reached solid ground. On the Macedonian side, the veteran general Parmenion urged the same caution Memnon had. Wait, camp for the night, cross safely at dawn. It was the careful move. Alexander refused it, whether out of recklessness or the calculation that hesitation this early would read as fear to every Greek city watching from home. He led the cavalry across himself in the front rank in a plumed helmet that made him impossible to miss. The current was strong, the far bank slick and steep, and the moment his rider started clawing up onto Persian soil, the Persian cavalry was already on top of them. This was the most dangerous moment of the entire battle, not because of army size, but because of pure chaos, with Alexander himself instantly becoming the primary target. A Persian noble named Spithridates swung his blade directly at Alexander's head. Not a glancing blow, but by ancient accounts, a killing strike, seconds from ending the invasion of Persia before it truly began. He was saved only by his companion Cleitus the Black, who cut the man's arm off mid-swing. 1 second later, and this story doesn't exist. Once Alexander and his companions fought through that first brutal clash, the wider Macedonian force poured across the river behind them. The Persian cavalry line, built for a static defense, had no answer for that pressure, and panic spread faster than any commander could contain. What should have been an unbreakable defensive position collapsed into a full rout. Persian cavalry losses topped 1,000, while Macedonian losses stayed under 150. The real casualties of the day, though, were the roughly 20,000 Greek mercenaries fighting on Persia's side, the very men Memnon had wanted to use in his scorched earth strategy. When the battle turned, they were left stranded and surrounded, and Alexander showed them almost no mercy. Most were killed where they stood. The rest were sent home in chains, condemned to hard labor. This wasn't just brutality. It was a message. Alexander was telling every Greek soldier who might take Persian gold that there would be no neutral ground and no mercy waiting on the losing side of a battle against him. Word spread, and it's one of the quiet reasons his later campaigns faced less organized Greek mercenary resistance than they might have otherwise. The Granicus isn't Alexander's biggest battle, or his most famous. But it might be his most dangerous, not because of the army across the river, but because of how close a single sword swing came to ending everything before the empire he'd become known for ever existed. A rejected strategy that could have starved him out, a general who told him to wait, a blade that missed by inches, and a massacre that sent a message written in blood. None of what came after, Issus, Gaugamela, the fall of an empire, happens if Alexander doesn't survive the Granicus.